Black Science TV 111, Osei Kufuor. I'm back at y'all again. Now, I'm coming to touch on. I'm still gonna try to touch on the things that's going on within the United States corporation as far as the hurricanes, and how it is connected to the eclipse. Now, I told people that the eclipse was the beginning of a new opening or portal for souls entering certain DNA that this government that is controlled by shadow governments at the top that you don't see. You don't know the names of the people who control them, these small group of people. This DNA was entered and activated by certain full moons. This eclipse did a lot of things to various people in this dimension on the earth realm within the United States corporation arena. And these people at the top, they study astrology, they study the sciences of astrology and the different energies within the realm of astrology, what we call astrology or astronomy. So they knew from birth, when you were born, they knew what type of, it's more, see, we talk about blood type. They're not going to teach you everything about blood type. Y'all run around talking about O positive, O negative, B negative, all this. Look, man, it's more to that. There is a greater science to our blood and DNA than what you think. And these people at birth, they have to send certain things to these corporations within the medical facilities that you are giving birth to or where you were born. And then they break down the literature and decode what is in your DNA. And you never know this. And so now they have your placenta, they have your umbilical cord, and you think they just throw it away. When they can look into all of this structure, all this stuff that's in your DNA that's moving around, all this energy that's spiraling from other dimensions that's connected to your spiritual and umbilical cord. These people know who and what you are, where you are at the moment, and they can use where you are at the moment depending on how far you are and your DNA into the future, because again, the future is existing right now as we speak. So what they could do is they could tap into the DNA and that part of you that's in the future and get things ahead of time, because they can't go into those dimensions during these eclipses or during these blood moons. So they have to use the people that they have under their medical records. So what you see going on as far as the hurricanes and all these catastrophes, this is a drill, but they are looking for something. They are on a worldwide spiritual manhunt for DNA to help them save them for time on this dimension. There's a lot of people at the top, beyond what you call reptilians. I'm not going to make this spooky. It's beyond what you call reptilians. These are beings that is occupying bodies, that is now leaving out of this realm, and they need time, which is DNA, to be able to help them stay on this realm to rule for a certain period of time. So now they are rushing and they are causing catastrophes. Let me tell you something. Let me break this down to you. A lot of people say, why would they need to create man-made weather modifications? Well, this gives them justification to go into other countries that they point these weather modifications to create these hurricanes and earthquakes. It sends Red Cross over these organizations that you think are organizations. These are actually governmental agencies like FEMA. They send them over there with justification to kidnap your children, kidnap these people that they have a list of. So they have undercover agents with the Red Cross. Red Cross go with their employees, but they also go with undercover agents that they send there to certain people. And they know who they're going to get before they even create the catastrophe or the earthquake or the hurricane in the state or city or country that they created in. They already know who they're going to get. They already know this. It ain't about them going into communities, setting up stuff for tourism to make financial benefit. These people print the money. Now, some of it is on that behalf, but the majority of it is spiritual agendas, because you have spiritual resources that is connected to realms where these people cannot get to, and they have to use the people who's connected to these realms by way of their DNA to tap into these other things to help them technological wise, military wise. Again, I say this all again. So right now they're looking for some people in the United States. They're looking for some people who hold a key, a very important key in their DNA. Just like the Henrietta Lacks. Look it up. Henrietta Lacks. Henrietta, Lacks. Lacks. This is a sister who had a very dominant DNA that they used to cure a lot of things that the corporations had a biological patent on and benefited from her spiritual DNA. And I think this was John Hopkins who benefited. Her husband sued and they never gave him a goddamn penny. And they benefit off of her DNA. And it wasn't only, they did not only find certain distinct cells in her that was reproducing at a high rate just to find a cure, but they found something spiritual that helped them to be able to tap into certain things to give them more time on this dimension. People looking at me like, what are you doing? You making videos and these people down in Texas going through this, going through that. Let me just address that too. You all don't know what the hell I'm doing. You don't know what I'm doing. I've been getting calls from Texas. Just because I'm not there doesn't mean that I'm not there. Not only have I spiritually and mentally been counseling people that's going through things there, over 100 calls in one day, but I'm financially helping as well. So for the record, for anybody want to speak on my name, I don't always have to air out what I'm doing to assist other people. The laws of attraction says to do what you do and be quiet with what you do. You don't have to blow your trumpet to let the world know what you're doing for other people. And that's on the record. But it's time for us. I've been talking. I warned people a year and a half before this thing in Texas took place. In Atlanta when I did my lecture. I warned Texas. I told Texas that there's going to be a major catastrophe that is identical to Hurricane Katrina, and the same agenda for Hurricane Katrina was going to be played out in Texas. I said this in Atlanta, Georgia. And there were people who were at my lecture who know, and they was there and they heard me put this on the record. But neither here nor there. I'm not a prophet, but I use my common sense. A lot of people who claim to be conscious. Conscious means that you take the first warning. You take the first notice, the first voice that come out of your soul that said that this is not right. This is conscious. This is spiritual. You have to take your ass up out of there and stop sitting there allowing your ego to get the best of you. A lot of people was warned about certain catastrophes, not only in Texas, but as well as Hurricane Katrina. But what did we do? But we're so conscious. We didn't listen to that voice. Many people came to me and said they knew about Katrina 2 weeks before it happened. I won't call no names. But why didn't we take the initiative to listen to the voice of Mother Nature and get the hell up out of there? Because we don't believe the shit that we hear coming from us. We just want to sound like we spiritual. We just want to sound and act like we conscious. It's time to take this shit to task and be for real with what we do. Let's start listening to your voice. Because when you start to connect with nature again, then you'll be able to be 3 or 4, 5, 6 or 7 steps ahead of this shit and this agenda that they have against us. I told people that Walmart was going to be one of the fucking mother facilities of FEMA for these catastrophes. The FEMA camps is not just in the United States, and they're not on top of the ground, by the way. If you notice when you go into all of the Walmarts, look at the floors. All of the floors is not the same, but the floors that has just straight cement, right, and the ceilings that don't have ceilings, they have camps under these Walmarts. When you walk into Walmart, it's no coincidence that they have missing children on their billboard. This is for them to turn the direction and the attention off of them, while all along they the ones that then fucking kidnapped the kids that they got on the missing board. Somebody told me at Walmart that they was going to start hiring a lot of people who didn't have family. And I started to think, why? Because if you ain't got family and you don't have nobody looking for you, they can easily snatch your ass. It's nothing for them. You don't have no family looking for you. You're just like a homeless person. You in a whole new another world by yourself with no family members. Start listening to the voice. Stop acting like you conscious and spiritual and take it to task. It's time to stop talking about what our ancestors did and start utilizing the superiority powers of our ancestors. Because believe it or not, our ancestors is right outside the door. The birds is our ancestors. The bees is our ancestors. and other things that take heed to the frequencies of the voice within Mother Nature. When Mother Nature say, you know what? Something is coming. Whether it's man-made or not, they take the task and they listen to that voice. This is why I say common sense is the greatest sense. Common sense is the greatest consciousness. Because when you hear the voice, you take heed to it. These people are on a spiritual manhunt for DNA. They are on a spiritual manhunt for DNA. And when you start hearing about the catastrophes happening in Mississippi and Tennessee, you really better go. Head up north. This is the cutoff zone. People say, well, how do you know about that? Because I'm not only studying geography from a physical perspective. I'm studying geography from a spiritual perspective, because every state, depending on what state you go to, is a different dimension. Past New York, you are out of this dimension. Meaning that you have certain military zones that they use on their list. They can't initiate catastrophes past a certain zone. They can only use the terrorist list. So instead of them initiating a terrorist attack or a staged terrorist event in Houston, Texas, they use the catastrophe because this is on their list. They have to go by what's on their list. So anything past New York, right? They can't use that. And you'll see why. All right? So with that much said, Black Science TV 111, Osei Kufuor, I'm out. Peace.